We survived another stressful Thanksgiving Lions and Packers game. Sure, it was Canadian Thanksgiving, but still, we're going to talk about it, and we'll also preview Sunday's Raiders at Packers game next on your Packers Fan Podcast.
It was a wild Monday night game that I sure don't feel too great about, but hey, a win is a win, and you can't argue with a 5-1 record. This is Packers Fan Podcast, the show by and for fans of your 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. Scott Clark here with you, and I'm feeling rather guilty this week.
Not me. I'm Wayne Henderson, and on this 187th episode of the show, recorded October 16th, 2019, I know that in the old Western cowboy movies, the good guys wore white, but this is football, people. That was not right. Controversy be damned, a win is a win, and we'll talk a bit about the Packers finally having more points than the Lions did when time ran out. We'll also have results from our weekly Twitter and Facebook poll.
And we're also going to look ahead to Week 7 as the Raiders are coming to Lambeau Field. Stay tuned for some of your great listener feedback from 920-3PACK-GO and from social media. Also, if you'd like to check out the show notes for this episode, you can check them out at PackersFanPodcast.com.
Let's go over some of the highlights, shall we, Scott? One of the best parts was the very end, and not just Mason Crosby's field goal, which gave us the win, but Mason Crosby getting to do the Lambeau Leap.
I was going to say, where are you from? The Lambeau Lift? Did he ride an elevator? No, it was pretty cool, but he did kind of need a lift up into the end zone because one of the players was kind of sitting there like, I got you, buddy, and kind of tossed him into the end zone, which I thought was hilarious. So that was a really cool scene to see. Did you notice the other Packer player? And it was so fast, I could not catch who it was, but somebody else jumped into the end zone just to the right of Crosby. And I could not for the life of me figure out which player it was, but I don't think I've ever seen two Lambeau leaps at the same time before. Have you?
I think I have seen 2 or 3 go up at once, but I didn't notice anybody else other than Mason Crosby on this particular one because it was so unusual in many ways. But good for him.
Yeah, it's just good to see that smile on his face. He's a great kicker, and he deserves it.
How about Alan Lazard stepping up?
Man, that catch on the left side of the end zone, holy cow. And then he had a couple sideline grabs, too, that just were very badly needed. We had a lot of clutch receptions in this game, and his name was said quite a bit by the newscasters.
As well it should have been. It was fantastic. Aaron Rodgers throwing darts. I think things are starting to gel, even though defense did give up some big plays. We'll talk a little bit about that. But still on the highlights, Marquez Valdez-Scantling was good to see. And I think our defense, aside from the few big plays they gave up, they did so many great things that helped seal the victory. I mean, they kept the Lions in check starting in about midway through the second quarter, holding them to field goals. And, of course, they got 4 of them, which was quite a few. But still, we held them to field goals because of those Smith brothers. How about those guys?
Oh man, they were a lot of fun to watch. They had 3 sacks between the two of them, and it just kept hearing their names. It was awesome. But to your point with the defense, I mean, even the first drive, the very first play of the game was a flea flicker, a play you hardly ever see anymore, which got them within the red zone, and the defense stopped them and held them to a field goal. So lots of scary moments where the offense from the Lions was clicking, but we were able to keep them from getting in the end zone more times than not, which was very, very thankful and saved the game for us.
And Mercedes Lewis, how about another big Packers tight end making clutch catches when we really needed them?
Yeah, it was nice seeing the tight end catch a ball consistently.
That's a fun new thing that I'm excited to see on the Packers field. Mercedes Lewis was actually at my niece's daughter's wedding that we went to like 5 years ago, long before we had any dreams of him becoming a Packer. He was a Jaguar at the time. I could hardly see the cake cutting because that dude is huge. Couldn't see around him.
Got to be a tight end, man.
Exactly. Wow. The main lowlights, as far as I see it, is all of the injuries. They're just starting to pile up. That injury to Geronimo Allison was scary as all get out.
It really was. It was one of those plays where he got hit and just went limp as a rag and came to the ground and just stood motionless for quite a while. That I thought he was out for the count. I really did. And that was scary. They cut to commercial very quickly, which is always a surefire sign that something real bad's going on. But thankfully, he was able to. Actually, did they cart him off or did he walk off? I don't remember.
Not positive. I think it happened during commercial break.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm sure the concussion protocol is going to take a while for him this time, but yeah, anytime I see a hit that vicious and the player's just laying there motionless, I immediately start praying, because I don't want to see anybody die during a football game or even suffer, even more horrific injuries as far as never being able to walk again or anything like that. So he's on the road to recovery. It's going to be a while. Also, Darnell Savage, Robert Tonyan, and Devontae Adams, his turf toe still keeping him out. And even Marquez Valdez-Scantling was out once or twice during the game, but then came back. So that was good to see. But it's like the walking wounded, which brings us to the next point, Scott. What happened today?
We had some pretty big news, actually. The Packers signed wide receiver Ryan Grant, who came from the Raiders, which I thought was pretty funny because we're playing the Raiders this weekend. We're recruiting their team ahead of time. I kind of like that strategy. And we've also got a running back. Is it Demaria Crockett? Am I pronouncing that right?
I think so.
Demaria Crockett.
I didn't hear about that one.
From the Texans, and also a cornerback, Tremon Smith, who used to be a Packer. I think for the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. And then he was on the practice squad, and then actually went to the Chiefs, and now he's back on the Packers again. And also, he is a cornerback, but he also does do some punt returns on special teams. So Shepard should be shaking in his boots right now.
No doubt. And Ryan Grant, it's got to be real interesting that just a day or two ago, you're practicing with the Raiders, preparing to play the Packers. Now, all of a sudden, you're a Packer getting ready to face the Raiders.
That's got to be a weird spot to be in. Are you shaking hands with the team saying, "Hey, it was a good practice last weekend, huh?"
Yeah, that was pretty cool Tuesday night. And wow, drops, fumbles, interceptions. Oh my
goodness. Darius Shepard, I just mentioned him and why he should be shaking his boots. Why did he not call fair catch on that play? It's that simple. There was no reason to try to pull something out of that. We were playing a pretty conservative game, and that was not a time to try to do something like that. And just fair catch the ball, man.
Yeah, he wasn't alone, though.
No, Jimmy Graham dropped a couple. Graham did make a pretty clutch play in about the fourth quarter on the left side of the field, but and then Aaron Jones fumbled one too, fumbled it forward, which you don't want to see it fumbled at all.
Don't do it.
Oh, it was just gut wrenching because we were driving the ball and driving, and turnovers are just killing us. Not killing us because we're winning the game, so I can't say they're killing us, but
they're injuring us.
They're making the games a lot scarier than they need to be. I think that's a good way to put it.
I will definitely give you that. And the fact that I know that we've had a couple of interceptions lately, but none of those are Aaron Rodgers' fault, I believe. I mean, they bounced off receivers' faces, right out of their hands, things like that. They still count as interceptions, and they still aren't good to give the team, the other team the ball. But
I heard a stat, and I haven't looked it up to confirm it, but somebody told me that the last 4 interceptions that Rodgers has had have bounced off of a player in some fashion. So it's not really his fault. And he's not known for lots of interceptions. And this one was definitely not his fault because that ball should have been caught. Yes, sir.
I'm still not sure I like having our running back literally taking a seat around the 2-yard line instead of bursting in for the go-ahead touchdown near the end of the game.
Well, I loved it. I thought it was amazing because there was a good, minute 15 left. And if you remember, several years, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, we played the Lions, and we had a Hail Mary that was caught in the end zone with like 3 seconds left in the game. They did not want to give the Lions a chance to do that, to have even an opportunity for a Hail Mary. So rather than running it in like Aaron Jones could have, and if you notice, the Lions were just going to let him go. They're going to score. Let's let them score as soon as possible so that we have that much more time to get down the field. Because I think, no, they didn't have any timeouts left, but they could have thrown a couple Hail Marys. And so Aaron Jones sat down to keep the clock running, and basically give them the opportunity to kick the extra point to win the game and end the game rather than give the Lions any opportunity at all, because they had faith in Mason Crosby, and rightly so. He's been a good kicker for several years, maybe one bad season in there.
I do have faith in Mason Crosby, but not that much. Something could have happened, and I was going to lose my mind. I know that when the tables are turned, there is always that danger with 60 or 90 seconds left that Aaron Rodgers can do an effective Hail Mary. I think the odds of the Lions being able to do it, if we had gone that route, it was like less than 5%. I mean,
I still think it's even less of a chance that Crosby would have missed a chip shot like that. So I think they were playing the more conservative route, which has kind of been LaFleur's mentality. Clock management is his thing. So,
well, I am just thankful that it worked.
And it worked out for us.
Otherwise, we'd be having a whole nother conversation tonight.
Yeah, we would have. Probably. And who knows how I would have felt if they had missed that field goal. We should have taken the 6.
Well, let me ask you this. Were you at least a little bit nervous? Or you were already getting out your victory tie even before the kick was made? Like, we got this. No worries. Where's my tie?
I did not have any worries whatsoever. I knew when all they needed was this very short field goal to win the game. I knew everything was going to be fine. Even a penalty wouldn't have hurt us at that point. So we were good. I had no worries whatsoever. It was just about going through the motions to get that ball through the uprights, and that's all she wrote.
All right. Well, with that, let's hear what you had to say. Packers Fan Podcast, G-Force, you gave us calls. Quite a few of them, actually, at 920-3-PACK-GO. First up, Granny Cheese from the great state of Texas.
Hey, Wayne, Scott, Packer Nation. This is Dawn Lejeune, a.k.a. Granny Cheese. I'm with Aaron Rodgers. This game just didn't feel like a win. No. But they did win. In my honest opinion, they did not outplay the Lions. They outsmarted them at the end of the game. They say a win is a win, but this was a stressful game. But I guess that's the Packers for us. Anyway, just wanted to call and say hi and put in my 2 cents. We won 5-1, top of the NFC North. Go, Pack, go! Bye, guys.
Thanks so much, Don, for that email. Boy, I miss how Southern people say my name. I love it. They put that little like umlaut on the O almost. Scott, I love that. I love that. I used to live in Texas and Dallas area, so I miss people saying my name like that. Anyway, Don, I'm with you. I feel like I'm very much alone in the mentality that it didn't feel like a win. It felt like we got away with one, and I've been arguing with a lot of people, including Mr. Henderson, about whether or not we earned this win. But it sounds like Granny Cheese is on my side, so I got one.
Well,
I got one.
That's quite all right. Yeah, if it wasn't for Booger just talking about it over and over and over and over and over, trying to sway public opinion, I don't think it would have been such a thing. And between the fact that there was that touchdown the Lions had, which I don't really think was a touchdown, even one of the refs was pointing the other way, and you couldn't even see the ball, and other non-calls, and the fact that there were some definite hands to the face by that Lion, I don't feel bad at all. It's sad that there's controversy around it because, I can't go around quite as much saying, hey, how about those 5-1 Green Bay Packers? And people are like, well, I don't know. But hey, it all evened out.
I want to go back to that touchdown you mentioned, because why was that play not reviewed? Wasn't it within the 2-minute warning or something, or nobody even considered, LaFleur didn't even consider challenging it, because that was a 4th down. That was would have changed the possession of the ball if that had been reviewed, but it didn't seem clear to me, but it also didn't seem clear enough to overturn it, so it might have been the right call. That angle, the overhead shot, made it really difficult to tell if it crossed, because number one, you couldn't see the ball clearly, but also it didn't feel like it was directly over the end zone line. It felt like it was kind of angled a little bit, so you couldn't really tell. How did you see it?
I just couldn't see the ball at all, but I was trying to guess by the Lions' body stance and where he might have been holding the ball. It didn't look like it made it in any way, shape, or form, but we got the win, so I'm not going to I wouldn't dig into it anyway this many days after the fact. It's time for moving on, after we talk about it tonight on the podcast. And Lions fans, if they continue to harp on it for days and days, it's going to get inside their head and just trash their season. Kind of like how granted, the Saints are also 5-1, but their fans are still talking about that NFC championship game. They need to move on and focus. This blows me away.
Yeah, I'm with you, but we're Packers fans, man.
We could certainly still bring up the Fail Mary against the Seahawks.
Oh my goodness!
Bring up some of the missed calls in the Eagles game, but
I think somebody made a meme on Facebook that made me laugh that said the Packers lead the NFL in controversial plays where two refs are signaling both touchdown and no touchdown at the same time. Because we had this one and we had the Fail Mary game against the Seahawks. So
and those were replacement refs, and the other night those were official refs.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe just kind of scrolling through, hashtag Detroit DET versus Green Bay, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And one of the most prominent YouTubers must be a Lions fan, because for whatever reason, his tweet was featured, and he was like,
Ninja?
Yes. He was like, I don't know how much money the Packers are paying the refs. I'm like, really?
Hey, we've been there. I've been on the other side of that whole thing, and I know how it feels. So, more times than one.
So, with that, let's move on into unknown territory.
I think my neighbors hate me. I was yelling at the TV so much during this game. A lot of mistakes, but a win's a win. You gotta love it. And you gotta love that the refs finally came through for the Packers. And some great plays by some guys who needed to step up, and they did, with Allen Lazard, 4 catches, 65 yards or more. Jamal Williams with a great day and a great heads-up play by sliding down, making, just take the easy field goal. And the defense, with the amount of field position that was given up to them, to only give up 22 points, 1 touchdown, 5 field goals, after getting burned multiple times at the beginning. It showed a lot of character today. So even though I probably had my blood pressure go up by 10 today, still gotta love the Pack. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go. Thanks for giving us a call at 920-3PACK-GO. We did not get your name this week, but we do thank you for your call. And great point about, I think my neighbors hate me from all the yelling at the TV. I'm in the same exact boat. I even turned to my wife near the end of the game. Do you think it's helping that I yell at the TV? Should I stop? She's like, no, don't stop.
Yeah, nobody yells at the TV more than my wife does. Trust me. She was yelling. I was yelling a little bit though too, but it's a lot of fun watching football games with my wife. It's one of the things I'm thankful for, is that she likes to watch these games with me and gets upset if I don't watch them with her. And because she yells a lot. We don't live in an apartment anymore. We have a house, so we can be as loud as we want, but there's been some moments.
An excellent point about our defense. When things were just going as wrong as they possibly could in the first quarter, the defense did not just fold and totally give up, made great plays, as well as the excellent plays by Lazard and Jamal Williams throughout the game, and things that really helped us hang in there and slowly claw our way back and get the victory at the end. So it was so good to not see them give up, because there's been some games in years past where things didn't go wrong during the first quarter and it was no way we were going to recover.
Yeah, we were still playing a little catch up on this one. I think you made a point to me when we were texting each other during the game, banging our heads against the phone, that we want to have just one game where we're leading by like 30 points by the time the fourth quarter comes around, because it'd just be nice to sit back and just watch that happen.
Yes, it would.
We thought we were getting that with the Cowboys, but that became a lot closer than was for comfort.
Go Pack Go. This is Bill Gardner from Portland. I'm calling to say, nice victory. There's a little controversy, but it was nice seeing Mason Crosby get his Lambeau leap. And, there were bad calls both sides. One of those, hands to the face. Sorry, his hand was in his face. It was around the neck area. That's part of the rules. They got a free touchdown. They got a bunch of field goals that they could have converted to points. I mean, you can't completely blame those bad calls on the Lions losing. They changed the momentum, but a win's a win. Go Pack, go.
Thanks so much for the call, Bill. Shout out to Bill. He is a Go listener, man. That is one of my guys over at the Gaming Outsider crew.
Nice.
He's a really cool guy. He is actually one of the luckiest guys I've ever met, or met digitally, I guess, because we do little game giveaways over at the Gaming Outsider, and he has won something like 3 or 4 times with the random drawing. So shout out to Bill. To his comments, I still don't know how I feel about the hands to the face. I've watched both of those plays multiple times, and it looked, to me, if you were going to call a penalty on at least the first one, it looked closer to a hold than it did to a hands to the face. It looked like he was holding the shoulder, what do you call it, the pads or whatever. I still thought it was clean. I felt like Bakhtiari, was it Bakhtiari that was it was called, not called on as the penalty, but the one that he was pushing. It looked like he was doing a little acting job with his head a little bit. I don't know. I really don't know. I was thankful that we got the penalty, but because it put us in position, but I think it seemed a little gray area to me.
I think it all stemmed to the fact that it was going on throughout much of the game, and Bakhtiari even mentioned it to the refs, like, keep an eye on this, keep an eye on this. So it was probably evening out for the times they didn't see it. Who knows? But
yeah, I don't know how I subscribe to this whole evening out thing, man, because, we talked about this on Facebook a little bit the night of the game, because a lot of Packers fans are saying, well, we've gotten screwed over by games in the past because of the refs. It was our due. And as a fan of football, I do not want to see any bad calls on either side of the ball. I don't like winning because we got bad calls in our favor. I would rather win the game because we won the game because we played better than the other team. And for the majority of this game, we did not play better. Our defense played pretty great to be able to keep them just to 1 touchdown and a bunch of field goals. But overall, the Lions looked awesome. The opening play, that flea flicker was great. Then there was another one, like that same series or the next series where they got within the red zone. Thankfully, we stopped them, but I don't know. I love the game so much. I don't want to ever see bad calls, even if they are in our favor. I just want them to let them play ball and keep it clean.
This whole referee business has been pretty sloppy for ages. I mean, even last year was terrible on both sides of the ball. And this year, every single game, pretty soon we're just going to put a moratorium on talking about the refs at all because it's just bad. I don't even know why they're out there.
Well, there was another game I was watching on Sunday. I can't remember which one it was.
Might have been the Browns.
It wasn't the Browns. It was the afternoon game where there was like a series of 7 or 8 plays where there was just a flag every single play. Now, that's not necessarily the ref's fault, but good Lord, just let them play the game.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you put an antivirus on your computer, it gives you all these false positives just trying to let you know, hey, I'm doing something here. I'm doing my job. And I think that's what the refs are doing. Throwing a bunch of flags just so we remember, oh, they're out there doing their job. Oh, my. Well, with that.
Slows down the game so much, too. I just want to watch the game.
Oh, I'll give you that, Scott, for sure.
I did watch like a highlight reel for the game in preparation for talking to you tonight on the show. And it was so nice to just watch the key plays of the game and not have to wait through commercials and wait through all the plays where nothing happened. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd much rather watch the whole game and have the experience, but man, it was just nothing but nonstop action. I feel like the game is getting slowed down with the penalties and with the reviews, and now that they can review penalties and they can it's just there's so much that takes up so much time. And I don't know. Maybe I got a little ADD.
I know Jerome Bettis wishes they could go back 10 years and review the coin flip, but that was a thing.
Yeah.
Go, Pat, go! Go, Pat, go! Let's go defense! Andre in L.A., first and foremost, I want to say, Crosby, that was certainly one of the saddest Lambeau leaps I've seen in my life. I'm sure you're very pleased with the assist that you got, but it certainly gave me a great laugh after another heartbreaking, not heartbreaking, but heart attack game, basically. Not really sure what happened to the defense and offense to start the game. Maybe they weren't aware what time the game started, but it was very interesting to just see them make so many mental mistakes. But Aaron Rodgers was great when he needed to be, a lot of great passes. I see we certainly need some improvement in the receiving core, but I suppose that's the trade-off for getting a really good defense. The running game was pretty consistent and pretty stellar. Great job by Coach LaFleur of sticking with the run. Thankfully, because they didn't get off to too big of a lead. They were only up, 13-0 at one point. So we were able to stick with the run. Williams and Jones did a great job. Some good catches. Alan Lazard, never heard of the guy. I had to look up his name, but you just got yourself a jersey bought for you, buddy. Looking forward to next week. I believe we play the Raiders, 5-1. We're starting looking like definitely one of the elite teams in the NFL this year. Hopefully, with the play, some of these receivers can start to get healthy, or at least show a little bit more improvement. I'm not sure how many more weeks Devontae Adams is going to be out, but with the huge win that we got now over Detroit, over the Bears, over the Vikings, I think we have a 1 or 2 game lead over most of the teams. We can sort of rest Devontae Adams at least another week to be sure, let him get fully healthy, but very happy, very, very happy. It looks like the Packers are going with the sort of Seattle offense. We're just going to run the ball, pound it. Aaron Rodgers really doesn't turn the ball over. In fact, his 2 interceptions this season really weren't his fault. The first one should have been a pass interference. The second one, the receiver hit him in the hand. Well, not even the hands, hit him in the face. So I love what I'm seeing from this team so far. I really just believe this is going to be our year. Green and gold till I'm dead and cold. I don't want to take up too much time. Andre LA, go, Pat, go. Love you guys.
Thanks so much for the voicemail, Andre. I love your Go Pack Go this week, man. Every week it just gets louder and stronger. I love it. Keep that up. I love that you called it a sad Lambeau leap from Crosby. It almost felt like they were doing, like they had planned it. Like this, they knew this was going to happen and they wanted to make it happen for him. So they they didn't have time to put up a step stool. So they just gave him a boost. I thought that was pretty funny. I do want to mention what he talked about, the coach sticking with the run, because I agree that I feel like we're running the ball more than we were in the past under McCarthy. However, I still feel like we need to run the ball more than we have been, because the run game was working, and there were so many opportunities where I was watching just drop passes. It just felt very like there were lots of stone hands out there this week, and I just kept yelling at the TV, "Run the ball, just run the ball. It's working. I know that they're ready for it, but run the ball." and I'd like to see more of that. As far as a Lazard jersey, man, that one game gets you to buy a jersey. Whew, that's awesome. I think it's a really cool last name too. It just rolls off the tongue, Lazard.
Yeah, between Lazard and Savage, great jersey names. Great jersey names.
Lazard, Savage, and the Smith Brothers. It sounds like an 80s metal band. Let's do it.
It should be. Let's fix the TARDIS, go back in time, and make it an 80s metal band.
There you go.
Let's check it back in at 9203. Pack go.
Go Pack go, baby. This is Jared over here, Jared Machini Crew over here in Ohio. Just wanted to give my feedback on the game. This will be in no particular order, just what I think of while everything's still fresh. I'm going to go ahead and get out of the way. That last hands to the face call was pretty bad, really bad. That's really all I'm going to say about it. At the end of the day, everyone's playing with the same refs, and although this may not be the standard we should compare it to, I would much rather take today's officiating than the days of replacement refs, because boy howdy, that was not cool. But no, in all seriousness, yeah, it was bad. It was a bad call, and really there's nothing more to say because everyone's going to have their own opinion on that. But at the end of the day, win was a win. It was an ugly win, sure, but overall, I think one of the things that really stuck out to me around the 2-minute mark, AR12 had this really awesome smirk on his face, and it's just really cool to see him because you could tell he's really kind of got a vision and a path forward when he's smiling, and he knows what needs to be done to seal the deal. So that was fun to watch. Jamal Williams, side note, love having him back. Didn't realize how much we were missing him in tandem with Aaron Jones until tonight. It feels like LaFleur's really figured out how to use them in tandem quite well, or at least is getting better at that each week. So glad to have him back, albeit still got some concerning injuries across the board. But all in all, loved that grin that Jamal Williams had when he took the down right at the goal line so we can kill the clock some more. But all in all, this was an interesting game. Started off really rough. I got to admit that. We definitely shot ourselves in the foot quite a bit. Honestly thought we were going to just be handing Detroit the win because of all the some of the bad routes and the drop balls and the penalties, but Packers seemed to really clean it up towards the end, and I really appreciated seeing that. Really loved seeing the adjustments, and loved the fact that the defense pretty much held them to field goals for the last half of the game. And I think that right there is, despite calls, whether it's tonight's game or other questionable calls that may come, when you have as many opportunities as the Lions had to seal the deal, all they could do was put up 3 points, and I attribute that to a lot of that to our defense. So that's what I got as far as going into the next week and the weeks following.
And that's about where it cut off. But Jared, I'm sorry that it cut off. Google Voice, man, it's firm with its 3 minutes. It's like click. But we thank you so very much for your call. You made so many great points. Always good to hear from you. Something that wasn't touched on till your call was AR12's smile. When it's the final 2 minutes and he just somehow knows that they've got a good plan in place, he gets that look, and I know that look. It should strike fear in the opponents, and I think it does.
I know that smile or smirk, whichever one you want to call it, just rises a fire inside of every other fan of the other NFC North teams, because it's just got a grate on them seeing that. We love it, but I just know that the other fans really hate to see that for sure.
It stinks to be them. Another great smile he brings up is Jamal Williams' smile when he was running down and just sat down around the 2-yard line. Yeah, that was just the smile let me know that it was definitely on purpose. Because at first I'm like, I don't know. Oh, he's smiling. Oh, but that was a funny grin. And great point, Jared, about us having both running backs at the same time. Because yeah. I do think Aaron Jones was having some struggles, missed a catch and then the other stuff. But the fact that you got two with distinct running styles, it's great to have them both. And our defense, as well as the offense, making some adjustments before things spiraled too far out of control. It's just what you got to have.
Yeah, I agree. And now that we've got Grant coming in from the Raiders as well, too, we can hopefully get a really well-rounded running game going. I'm just really excited because I feel like ever since I was a kid, we've just been a passing team. We ran the ball every now and again, but we were just never an explosive running game team, and it feels like we might be getting there. I'm so excited about that possibility. If we have that with AR12 throwing the ball when we need to, and how awesome our defense has been doing, we got a recipe for something really special here as we come into the second third of the season.
Standing by. And this just in today, we found out the Packers Fan Podcast is finally now available to listen to free on demand in Pandora. So please tell any of your friends that might listen to audio programs on Pandora or even music on Pandora, tell them to check out the Packers Fan Podcast there as well. Thank you, and we greatly appreciate it. Go Pack, go.
We're going to move on to some emails. Our first one comes from Steven. He says, checking in, and I told you that it was going to be a heart attack game. Can we stop with these heart attack games? I sound like a kid that thinks he won a bet, but for the most part, the Packers really didn't play as well against the Lions as they should have. Thank you, Steven. The Packers won the coin toss, and how predictable that the Packers elected to defer to the second half.
Oh, my gosh. That just kills me every time, especially at home. I don't know.
Right?
I just want points right away, not the Lions. Great points.
We won, Wayne. We won, Wayne. It's all good. We won the game. I know what you mean, though.
But when we saw them out there warming up wearing all white, it was just ominous.
He goes on to say, I hated that the Detroit Lions got the first points of the game before the Packers finally got points by scoring a touchdown and the extra point kick to make it 13-7. One last question for Scott. Is his mouth watering for cheese curds from Culver's? I guess because Monday was National Cheese Curd Day. I did not realize this until you, I think you messaged me or texted me, Wayne, to tell me that. I did not go to Culver's to have cheese curds, but I will have to go make a stop and get some this week in honor for a belated National Cheese Curd Day. Because I can and Wayne can't. It's kind of awesome.
Also got an email from the Fishers in Titletown, USA. We can't believe how great the end of that game was. It was so awesome, although it did seem there were so many uncalled penalties that should have been called against the Lions. We also loved that Lazard stepped up as a wide receiver. Until next time, gentlemen, this is Caleb, Kathy, and Roy Fisher saying no matter what happens next week, go Pack Go, bleed green and gold till dead and cold. Definitely good to hear from you, Caleb and company. Thank you so much. And a quick reminder that now that we're done with this crazy short week when these Monday games, we're back to quote-unquote normal next week. The deadline to get in your voicemails after that Raiders game to be part of the podcast is Sunday night at 11 p.m. Central. So just call us as soon as that time runs out and the Packers beat the Raiders. We can't wait to hear from you. And with the Raiders in mind, as we shift gears, on our weekly poll on Twitter and in the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community, which hashtag best describes the outcome of next Sunday's hashtag OAK versus GB Raiders at Packers game? And the choices were hashtag Packers Young Talent Shine, hashtag AR12 silences all critics, hashtag Defense saves the day, hashtag Raiders win, baby. And we had a great write-in option from Jacob. His write-in option was hashtag refs win another game for us and we should all feel bad about it.
Jacob's a buddy of mine. He's actually in my fantasy football league here in Rockford.
He's very wise and very clever. And his write-in option actually got 4% of the votes.
That's awesome.
Because it's a great one. Raiders win, baby, got 6%. And then not trolls, and I'm not saying it's aliens, but 38% picked the Packers Young Talent shining this coming Sunday. 28% AR12 is really going to show up and silence all the critics. 24% says the defense is going to save the day again. So we will find out Sunday morning. What do you think?
Well, the Raiders did beat the Bears pretty well, so anything can happen, Wayne, but I still think we're going to pull off the W.
Packers beat the Bears as well.
Barely.
Just saying. We have that tiebreaker. So, with that, your 5-1 Green Bay Packers play their last home game for a while at Lambeau Field, hosting the 3-2 Oakland, soon-to-be Vegas Raiders this Sunday, October 20th at high noon, just like they did in the old Westerns. The game's going to be on CBS TV here in the States, called by Jim Nantz and the great Tony Romo.
Oh, bummer.
I mean, he may not have been a great quarterback because he was a Cowboy, but he's the only game caller on TV that I listen to. I mean,
no, I don't have a problem with Tony Romo or Jim Nantz for that much. I just prefer the broadcast on Fox so much to CBS. I don't know what it is. It just looks crisper to me.
I
that's
agree.
Just a personal preference.
I like the style that Fox does, but
yeah,
CBS paid Tony Romo the big bucks.
Man, he's like the Nostradamus of the end zone, man. He makes some calls that are like, how did you predict that? And they come true.
It's going to be interesting seeing Trevor Davis and quarterback Deshaun Kaiser suiting up as Raiders since they were Packers just a month or so ago.
We're just swapping players, apparently.
That's true. We did get a Raider back on our team today.
Yeah.
And not the same Ryan Grant that used to be a running back for the Packers. This time, wide receiver Ryan Grant.
How confusing do you think that would be if we had Ryan Grant, the running back, on our team and Ryan Grant, the wide receiver? That would mess up all kinds of people's fantasy footballs.
Hey, it could be a way to really confuse the defense. I found some great stats from all over the interwebs as well as the Packers official dope sheet. Don't worry, we will link to the dope sheet in our show notes at PackersFanPodcast.com. Some interesting things. Sunday starts a stretch of 3 straight games against AFC West teams.
Interesting.
And hopefully we will win all of those. All time, I guess we don't play the Raiders all that much, except for in preseason up in Canada and stuff. All time, the Packers lead the series 8-5 when you include our victory over the Raiders in Super Bowl II. Going back to 1990, the Packers are 7-0 against the Los Angeles and Oakland Raiders.
Nice.
But kind of worrisome is the fact that this is the second week in a row we have to play a team that's coming off their bye week. We need to be ready.
We need to be rested, for sure. And they're going to be plenty rested.
Yes. But don't forget, Packers head coach Matt LaFleur is the first head coach in franchise history to win 5 of his first 6 NFL games.
He's got to be feeling really great right now. Kudos to him.
Not even Vince Lombardi.
That's a little crazy.
If he rides this thing all the way to the Super Bowl this year, whoa. They may name a street after him in a hurry.
We're going to be saying Bill who?
Game time weather Sunday in Green Bay. Supposed to be 61 degrees Fahrenheit, 16 degrees Celsius, which is kind of warm compared to how it was Monday night. Doesn't get any better than that for football.
That's perfect football weather for me, man. Love it.
How are we going to win where it has nothing to do with the officials?
Well, I've got 3 keys to victory for our inevitable win over the Raiders, and I say that with air quotes. But the first is run the ball. We've got some solid running backs with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, so it's time to even up the play calling a bit more. I know Rodgers is our boy, and I still love the guy, but we've been so successful on the ground, I think we need to utilize them a bit more, chew up those yards in small chunks, and work our way down the field so that we can punch it in the end zone. Secondly, like you alluded to a second ago, Wayne, we got to be prepared for a well-rested opponent. It's the second week in a row we're facing an opponent who's coming off of a bye. And even though we are favored to win this game, we actually have a short week coming off of a Monday night game. So it might make sense to take some extra rest, especially since we're having Kansas City the week after that. We want to be very, very prepared for that game for sure, because I think that's going to be our toughest of the season yet. Lastly, I don't know, maybe some tar on the hands with so many drop passes, fumbled balls, and miffed punt returns this week. I think the offense and special teams should practice with their hands on the ball as much as possible this week. Hang on for dear life, because we can't afford turnovers anymore if we're going to come out with a win against the Raiders.
Excellent point. I'm hoping that there's a huge focus on catching the ball, because that will be very helpful. Game time.
Just a tad.
Now, this past week, I gave you the victory for guessing the game correctly, because you predicted the Packers were going to win by 10. I predicted we were going to win by 15. I thought it was going to be a huge blowout.
Well, again, I did the math myself, because let's see, my difference for the Lions score was 5, and my difference between the Packers score was 4. So I had a total of 9 points missed. Let's see, you picked the Lions at 15. It was actually, it was actually 22. So that's 7 points right there, and then 7 for the difference in the Packers score. So it was 14 for you. So my 9 beats your 14. So yeah, I get the win.
Congratulations! I need to turn this thing around.
Well, you're not that far behind, man. It's only 3-2.
With that in mind, let's have you go first, Scott. What do you see happening this week at Lambeau Field?
Boy, I'm going out there with a crazy prediction this week. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game than we're anticipating. I'm going to go Raiders 24 and Packers 31.
Now, I do have the same margin of victory. I do think it's going to be a 7-point game, pretty basic, cut and dried. Packers 24, Raiders 17.
All right.
Though in my heart of heart, I'm rooting for Packers 51, Raiders nothing, but,
We'll get one this year, man. Are we playing the Dolphins? Is that happening this year? No, it's not happening.
Who knows? Maybe when we play the Chiefs. We'll see.
Oh, man. Now you're just dreaming, man.
Well, we're not going to overlook the Raiders. We're not going to overlook them.
No.
They are rested and ready. And ever since they got rid of that Antonio Brown albatross hanging around their neck, they've been doing a lot better than what even I thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
So congrats to them, but not this week. Some great listener thoughts that were in the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community page and the group at packerscommunity.com. Lofia said the Packers special teams got to do their job at protecting the ball this week. Hats off to the defense. They did their part, and the offense needs some trick plays every now and then.
Yeah, I feel like we're not seeing as many trick plays anymore. The Lions had do you call a flea flicker a trick play?
I would.
But
we just weren't ready for that to be the very first play of the game.
I'd like to see the Packers pull some wildcat offense, man. Just snapping the ball right to the running back. I want to see some more of that.
Maybe a 17-yard touchdown pass from Mason Crosby.
There you go. I saw my first fake this week, by the way. It wasn't during our game. First fake punt or fake field goal. Failed miserably, but
they usually do.
Those are always fun to see when you get to see them live. Watching it on highlights is one thing, but when you actually are watching a game and it happens, you're like, oh, this is happening. It's a lot of fun. Aaron Peterson also chimed in. He says, one thing I will say is pretty great is how smart this coach manages teams, manages the time at the end of the games. He's paying attention to that clock and using it to his every advantage, and I could not agree more. Wayne, I know you don't like the call at the end of sitting in the end zone, but that was all LaFleur telling him to do that for sure, and I like that play style a lot.
That's almost like our coach has Flava Flav right there on the sideline, helping him keep track of time. You can't miss it.
Flava Flav.
You got to love it. Sir Troy Heinrich says, does anyone remember Divot Gate, the first Lion win in 22 years on Wisconsin soil?
I don't remember that. What happened there?
That's how they were able to beat us that first time after all these years. There was a divot on the field or something, and it just messed everything up. But kicking game, go bye-bye. With the way people were slipping and sliding, all I can say is this. When you are up by 1, you sit down and keep the clock running. When you are down by 2, you take the points, especially with our defense. I couldn't even watch the field goal at the end because I had a feeling something bad was going to happen. Troy, me too. I was like, I don't know. I have to watch, but if this goes wrong, oh boy.
I don't understand. If you're up by 1, you sit down and keep the clock running. If you're up by 1, then you take the 3 to force them to have to go for the 6 in order to beat you. Is that the mentality there?
I believe so.
But if you're down by 2, I still like this call, man. I still like this call. That's even shorter than an extra point. I feel like the field goal that he had to punch in there, like the likelihood of that.
There's been a lot of extra points missed, not by the Packers, but
yeah, I was not worried. You guys were worried. We were good. We've also got another one that came from Peter Allison in the UK. Well, that was some game. No doubt a typical game for the Heart Attack Pack. Seriously, how damn good have the Smiths been? A pretty rocky start, few mistakes, bad plays, bad calls, but in the end, the refs did us proud. Both teams suffered poor officials, so stuff them. If our D isn't making turnovers, we will struggle. But if Rodgers can play like that and Lazard can step up where others have failed in Adams' absence, then we may just be okay. And I'm with you on there, man. I'm real excited to see what Grant does, and I hope he gets is a great asset because we're running out of receivers, but things are happening for the positive, I think.
How quickly do you think Ryan Grant will be able to take the field and be effective?
I don't know. I honestly don't. I did not even remember that he was on the Packers earlier until I read up on him a little bit. So, and I don't think he actually played. I think he was just in the practice squad. So I haven't even really seen him on the field at all. I may have to do some scouting and watch a little bit more ESPN this week to see what he looks like. I know he's wearing number 11, which has been a popular number on the Packers for that rotating jersey. That number's been used quite a bit over the years.
It's the most portable. So check out those and even more conversations happening in our Facebook group. Again, that's at packerscommunity.com. Some other great conversations and posts include some heartwarming posts. One from listener Marty, who gave his ticket to the Lions-Packers game to his sister so she could go to her first ever game at Lambeau Field. And listener Matt got the rare treat to watch the game with his dad.
That was pretty cool. Very nice. Also, I actually have a post on there if you want to see a really cool picture. My dad gifted me a helmet signed by the one and only Devontae Adams. It's got a little certificate of authenticity and everything on there. It looks real pretty down in my basement, so if you want to see pictures of that, check out there as well.
I was hoping you'd be wearing that tonight while we podcasted.
Dude, it won't fit on my melon. My head is so big. There's no way that thing would have fit on my head. Also, there were lots of great points made about whether or not to feel good about the win over the Lions. It got a little heated, not going to lie, but I think at the end of the day, we're all relishing in the win, and we're all Packers fans, so we got that going on.
Yeah, so there's all of that and much more at packerscommunity.com. A few things, just tidbits jumping out of the NFL. Here in Southern California, I have to wonder what on earth is going on with the LA Rams and the LA Chargers. They're no longer dominant. Neither one of them are. They're both having opposing fans take over their stadiums in crazy numbers, all while they're getting ready to move into their shiny new shared stadium next spring. They better pull it together, or that new stadium is going to be the home for Steelers fans, Packers fans, Chiefs fans, Jaguars fans. Who knows?
Right. And how about the Cowboys letting the New York Jets get their first win against them? And what about some of the rumors about Mike McCarthy possibly being considered to be the next coach of the Cowboys? That makes my heart hurt.
That does. I don't know about that, but where there's smoke, there's fire sometimes. That would be a shocker. And although the Bucks didn't play very well Sunday early morning against the Panthers, that new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, if I'm pronouncing that even partially close, that stadium was spectacular, as so was the crowd. You see so many different jerseys. I saw a fair amount of Packers jerseys on TV at that stadium, and it just looks like a great stadium where they've got the NFL field. Granted, it is field turf.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like a modular field, almost like a game of Jenga, where they take it apart and then they've got the soccer field underneath. They can bring it up to the top and put it together. And then it's all automated. At least it looked that way on TV. It was pretty spectacular.
I've got to correct you, Wayne, because we'll get some people yelling at us. It's not a soccer field. It is a football pitch. We're gonna have those European people coming after us mad. You can't call it a soccer field.
Well, I am so far away from Europe. I'm further away than you, so please forgive me, ladies and gentlemen.
It's all good. It was really cool to watch those time-lapse videos of how they put that thing together. It's just nuts what they're able to do with physical fields like that. It just kind of blew my mind a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, very cool. Also, I got one quick thing I gotta tell you, and I'm probably gonna jinx myself for saying this here, but I am in a football pool.
Are we recording?
I am in a no. I'm not jinxing the Packers. I'm going to jinx myself. I'm in a football pool with there's this guy at my wife's work that puts together a football pool. We're doing a survival pool. Are you familiar with how that works?
Yes.
And I am still in it. I've never been this far in a survival pool. We started with 80 people or 79 people, and we're down to 15, and I'm one of the 15.
Excellent.
And the winner of this takes home just under $2,000
American money.
I am really hoping that I can pull this thing off because that would be amazing. That'd be amazing.
Do you dare say who you have this week?
I haven't picked yet this week, but I'm leaning pretty heavily towards Buffalo. Because the line there is pretty massive. I know you can't rely on the line, but that game should be a pretty easy one for them to win.
I would probably pick the Packers.
I know you would, but you can only pick a team once a season. Once you picked him, you can't ever pick him again. So that's the rules of this pool. You don't just pick any team of any game. So the strategy is to try to pick ones towards the beginning of the season that are middle of the road ones, not necessarily surefire ones. So I'm saving like my New England, and I'm saving my Kansas City Chiefs and my Packers. I'm saving those for if I make it a little bit further. So
okay.
It's getting tight, man. I'm really, really excited. But as far as the NFC North, let's look at the records a little bit. The Packers, as we've mentioned multiple times this episode, are sitting at the top at 5-1. The Vikings are 4-2, so they're a full game behind us. The Bears are at 3-2. They had the bye week, which is why they're one game short. And the Lions sitting at the bottom at 2-1. It's what's interesting, and I think the commentator I watched after the game said this, is that the entire NFC North is over 500 or 500 or above, which is kind of fascinating. So it's anybody's game at this point. This early in the season, we're in the lead, and I hope we keep it. But holy cow, it's a very, very tight division, and it's going to be a fun season to see what happens.
Well, it's better to be in the lead, even if it's just by 1.5 games, since we own the tiebreaker against the Vikings, than being in that third or fourth spot, just trying to figure out ways to slowly claw back into the action. Which any of these teams could do it. So yeah, it's a strong division. It's possible that when it comes to the playoffs, that, you know, the NFC North winner, playoffs, yes, the NFC North winner obviously in, but it's possible the two wildcard teams could both be from the NFC North.
Yeah, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. Before we move on, I want to let you guys know, I've mentioned it in shows in the past, but if you love to play video games as much as I do, please be sure to check out my other podcast, The Gaming Outsider, which can be heard at the same places you listen to this one. We got a new episode that actually aired just today, where we talked about pre-ordering hardware and software, and we reviewed something like 5 brand new games, one that is very Zelda-like. So if you like Zelda games, you may want to listen to that episode. And our website, if you'd like to check out some of the written reviews we do, is thegamingoutsider.com.
Excellent. I'll be listening to that episode tomorrow. Season 2 of Stephen King's Castle Rock is coming next week on Hulu on the 23rd, and Jeff Gentry and I have a special preseason preview episode of the Castle Rock Zone podcast coming out in just a couple of days, so be ready for that. We'll help set the stage for this season of Castle Rock, which you can fully enjoy even if you didn't see season 1, because they're kind of standalone series each time. I mean, season 1 was great. I recommend it, but you don't have to see it to enjoy all the spookiness coming season 2. Check out the podcast at castlerockzone.com. And recognizing you for your Patreon support of the Packers Fan Podcast at patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. Thank you, and go Pack Go. When Packers legend number 24 Willie Wood wasn't drafted, he wrote a letter to Coach Lombardi asking for a tryout. That is bold. Listener Bryant, he is bold as well. Thank you for supporting the show at the $24 level. And the Packers do continue to have success in Texas, and so do we because of the Texas-only Green Bay Packers Fanatics Facebook group. Go Pack goes to you, and thank you for your $12 pledge level.
And I got an invite from that group this week. That was very nice. Gave me a very warm welcome over there. Lots of really great people. So be sure to check out that Facebook as well. Also, how about those $4 podcast supporters, Jeff Summerfield, Lawrence Harvey, and also there was a donation made in support dedicated to lifelong Packerbacker Randy Westgame of Wausau. We've also got some supporting at the $1 Curly Lambeau level. We welcome brand new Curly level supporter Joe Christensen. Thank you so much for joining that. Also Matt Haig, Hank Davis from the TPE Network of Podcasts, and Aaron Peterson from the Hollywood Outsider. Check out how you too can financially support the podcast at a level to match your budget and even get some fun Packers Fan Podcast logo merch. Details are at patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. Thanks so much, and go Pack Go.
Now, Scott, did you say go Pack Go?
I did say go Pack Go.
Okay, go Pack Go. The Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, not yet affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers, just saying, but media at PackersFanPodcast.com is the email to go to if you can help make it happen.
Also, you can follow us on Twitter at PackersFanPod. My personal Twitter handle is GoCastScott. Wayne's is at Wayne Henderson. And please join our Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community by visiting PackersCommunity.com and join that conversation.
And speaking of conversations, we want you to be part of the next episode of this podcast. Let your voice be heard. Get in your feedback by Sunday night at 11 p.m. Central. Go to PackersFanPodcast.com and click the Contact Us button for all the details on the various ways. Thanks again for spending some of your time with us this week, right here on the Packers Fan Podcast.
Be sure to subscribe in your podcast player of choice so that you don't miss an episode. Let's have our friends at the Texas-only Green Bay Packers Fanatics group take us out as we prep for the Raiders.
This is Dawn down here in Texas, a.k.a. Granny Cheese.
Hi, I'm James.
Hi, I'm Kim.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Hi, I'm Susan.
Hi, I'm Carrie.
Hi, I'm Lisa Montgomery, and we want to say,
Go Pack Go!